Out of Order Gun Rights Podcast, Episode 19.
Welcome to the Out of Order Podcast, your window into the firearms community, exploring those shaping the future of our rights and protecting our lifestyle, laws, legal cases, activism, and self-defense in a candid and honest podcast for our brothers and sisters in arms. Here's your host, James Kalita.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Out of Order Gun Rights Podcast. Today's guest is Naomi Moss. Naomi is the owner of Greenhorn Outfitter and firearms instructor and hunter ed instructor. So please head over to the show notes page, outoforderjameskalita.com/Naomi, where you can sign up for the email list and check out the books Naomi recommended, links to her pages, and links to our sponsors. And now, here's Naomi.
Naomi Moss, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
So Naomi, you're a firearms instructor with Greenhorn Outfitters. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I'm a firearms instructor in California. I teach concealed carry, a lot of concealed carry classes, basic pistol classes. Occasionally I'll do some kids and rifles and shotguns and stuff, but primarily it's pistol and CCW. So that's pretty much it.
Okay. Yeah. So what inspired you to find this line of work?
Well, I love guns. I can't talk about them without smiling. They're just so much fun. And what I found is about 7 years ago, my friends at church or social gatherings or wherever, the gals would always say, "Oh my goodness, you shoot? I've been shooting once or twice with my husband. I didn't like it. If you shoot, I'd go to the range with you." And so that got me thinking. I thought, if I'm going to take some ladies to the range, I should probably know what I'm doing. So I took a few instructor classes. One or two kind of snowballed, and I've collected a few instructor certificates over the years, but I've always been drawn to teaching it, and I just have a passion for it. So I enjoy the smile of new shooters when they get to shoot for the first time.
So. Yeah, and that comes up in so many interviews. The new person, the new shooter smile.
Yes, and it's I think for a lot of new shooters it goes from being this really obscure object to something they mastered shortly. And what I mean by mastered is they can use it successfully and hit a bullseye. They don't become masters of the gun, but in their mind they've taken this obscure object and hit a bullseye and have, succeeded at it. So it's it's really neat to watch. So that is fun.
Yeah. So and you're also a competitive shooter?
Yes. I am sponsored by the Well-Armed Woman, so I'm part of the Well-Armed Woman shooting team. Nationally, there's five or six ladies throughout the nation that compete in various disciplines. My main sport is IDPA, but this last year I've branched out into USPSA, and it's just another avenue of shooting fast and having fun. So it's a lot of fun.
And did the competitive side come after you started teaching, or has it always been you?
Well, no. The way I got into guns, it was actually my husband, which I think is common. He said, "I want you to have a gun. I travel a lot. You're by yourself. I want you to be able to protect yourself." And I kind of thought, he's getting into a new hobby. Okay, whatever. So I bought, I went to the gun store. and this is wonderful. This is great advice for any woman looking to buy a gun. Go and touch everything in the gun store. Don't let someone buy it for you. It's like someone buying you running shoes. You really don't know if they're going to fit or not. So go touch everything in the store. My husband left me at the counter with the salesman. It took me 45 minutes to pick out a gun. I knew nothing about it, which I think is probably not the could have been better had I done a class first and known what I was looking for. But anyway, I ended up with a Glock 19. I didn't touch it for 2 months because I had no idea what to do with it. And eventually took it out, shot it a couple times. So to competition, about that time, my husband said, I want to try this IDPA. It looks interesting. And I went, oh, shooting competition? And my first thought was, it's going to be a bunch of crazies on a line shooting guns and reckless, which is totally the opposite of what competition shooting is. And so I went and watched him shoot. And when I saw everyone's walking around, no one was allowed to touch their gun until the safety officer told them so. They went one at a time. I saw the safety aspect, and then I saw the course of fire, where they were running up, moving behind barricades, shooting hidden targets, things like that. And I fell in love with the competition side before I had even really shot my gun very much. So my first competition, Friday night, bags are packed, my husband's ready to go with me, and he got called into work. And I said, well, it's okay, we could go next month. And he said, no, I want you to go. You're ready. Just go have fun. I'll catch up with you later or whatever. And I said, okay. So my first competition, really didn't know anything. Show up. I had met someone the month before and really didn't know anyone and went out and shot. And I fell in love with it from that first shot. Kind of a detriment because I just went and did it. I didn't know anything. And I had, as a result, developed a few bad habits. I do recommend a basic pistol class before you try anything. But I just fell in love with it then and just kept going. I kind of hit the ground running with the competition side of things. So
nice. And so you went and you bought your first firearm when your husband was there. How are you treated as a woman, in the competitions and in stores? Are you welcomed, or is there bias, or?
For the most part, it's very welcoming. I would say 90 to 95% of the time, I've had a positive experience. Overall in the gun community, competition, it's been 100%. The majority is definitely a man-dominated sport, but I tell you what, the guys are great. They want to see women out there. Most of the comments I get from men are, man, I wish my wife would come shoot. And so they love seeing just women in general. Unfortunately for the men, it's hopes that their woman would come out and shoot with them. But as an instructor, it's been mostly positive, 100% positive in class. And I think most of the men that come to me for CCW and even basic pistol classes, there's no bravado to call up a woman and say, I need firearms instruction. So I don't get a lot of negative there in class. The men that come are ready to learn. Where I have seen it is casually in a gun store, not necessarily from the employee, one store. The gun store that I typically go to, I'm pretty good friends with, and they're big in promoting me as their instructor, so I have a really good relationship with one gun store. But one time I was visiting the gun store, as a lot of people go and chat at their gun store. And a gentleman walked in. He was an older gentleman, and walked in, paid for something, and asked the salesman, "Do you guys have a CCW instructor you recommend?" And the salesman looked at me and said, "Yes, Naomi is our instructor." And the guy kind of looked around the gun store and said, "Who?" And the salesman goes, "Naomi," and pointed me out, and I smiled at him. And he looked at me, and he had this completely puzzled look on his face, and he said, he goes, well, okay, you're the instructor. Well, you don't look like an instructor." And I laughed, and I said, he was really surprised. And I said, "Well, what should I look like exactly?" And he said, "Round with boots." And I thought, oh my gosh. He was totally caught off guard. Anyway, so that's kind of, and I don't think it was necessarily negative. I think it's just a really good example of women are starting to break the mold of, in the gun industry, of the typical concealed carry person, the typical instructor. You know, it's not always the tactical boots, 511 pants, and rain shirt. It's, they look normal. So anyway, but I've honestly, overall, I've been very blessed in the industry and had some really good experiences. So I am thankful for that.
And that's a great quote for forever, just to have and laugh about. Round with boots.
Right. And I thought about it, and I thought, I can kind of see where that came from. But anyway, yeah, round with boot. That's what he was expecting for an instructor.
And you're affiliated with Girls with Guns too. What is that organization about?
So the Girls with Guns is actually a clothing line. Jen and Narissa had started it. They're in Northern California, Redding, California. And these two gals travel the world hunting. They have a TV show, Girls with Guns, but they started this line of clothing, excuse me, for hunters, women that hunt. For the longest time, we'd have to kind of just fit men's hunting clothing. And so because they hunt, they know what they need, and they developed a great line of hunting clothing. And 2 years ago, they asked me to be part of their pro staff, so I get to try out some of their clothing, kind of promote it as well. So if anyone's interested in some great women's hunting clothing, some made by women for women, so great fit for women. I have a code Naomi15. You can get 15% off your purchase there. So, and they have cute T-shirts and some other cute stuff as well. So it's not all hunting, but they do have some phenomenal clothing. I love their pants and jackets for dove hunting, especially. So, so that's Girls with Guns.
Yeah. And you also teach hunter safety, which, you've said so many things about California during this call that I think are going to surprise the listeners. Anyone who heard you say church before, I think, is going to be shocked. But you teach hunting lessons in
Yes, I do. I love teaching hunter safety. I get a lot of kids that come through, and even adults that have never touched a gun. So it's a great opportunity to teach what, true conservation is, and, managing wildlife, and hunting is good, for overpopulation. Anyway, so it's just a lot. It's a great avenue to introduce they tend to be new shooters to hunting and the excitement of it. Yes, there are a lot of hunters in California. It is hard to hunt sometimes. We are typically only allowed to hunt the bucks. They don't allow hunting of doe, which makes it a little more difficult at times. But anyway, we are, unfortunately, I think we will see decline in the next year in hunting, California decided to implement a statewide ban on lead ammunition for hunting. And a lot of hunters are like, we'll just go out of state then. We're just not in a fool with it. So I got a feeling the revenue from license tags and things are going to really start to decline. This year is the last year you can use lead for upland birds. Next year is the full implementation. So I think we're going to see a lot of stuff like that. I think we're going to see a lot of hunters just choosing to go out of state to hunt. So.
Right. Yeah, and it's hard, especially when you think of, you don't want to be arrested, you don't want to lose your hunting license for something that might be an honest mistake. And I think a lot of people would be scared to go to California to hunt with a firearm, just not knowing California's firearm laws that well.
Oh yeah, yes. I know there's a few other states that have some wacky laws as well. But it is, I'll be honest, it's pretty hard to keep track of what was the law this week? Okay, that one passed. Is it implemented? Do I have till July 1st or January 1st to comply? I mean, it is. There's so many laws and they're ridiculous. Things get passed and our legislature has no idea what the words mean, what they're saying, and it is really frustrating. I know a lot of states are like this, where the majority of the state is conservative, gun-loving, and then the larger cities tend to be more liberal. Well, California just has two major metropolis areas that just lean so far on the left side of things that it's hard to get anything passed. So we have, San Francisco and Los Angeles. But man, yeah, some of the laws are just like, what? Wait, why can't I buy that one? So anyway, we could talk days about the California gun laws.
Right, and so, but I guess you teach concealed carry laws or classes, and I understand it's hard to get a carry license in California, but are you able to get them, or?
Yes, actually, so in California, it's up to the county, either the county sheriff or the city police department to issue permits, and then the permit is good throughout the state. So we have some very conservative sheriffs that will issue pretty readily, actually, and we are a may-issue state, so there still has to be a reason there. There are a couple counties where I want to defend myself, and the sheriff says, okay, that's a good enough reason. I'm in Kern County, and we do have to articulate why, but it's not hard to do. So it's something that I think there's over 10,000 permit holders in Kern County alone.
Oh,
so,
wow.
The problem is, like LA County, they issue 0.
Right. Yep.
So there are those counties that you will never see it. But particularly the Central Valley, Kern County, Tulare, Fresno, Kings, and on up the valley. Even, I don't know the county that Sacramento is in, but they issue them as well. And then even Northern California, they're all over the place. So it actually is quite a common thing when you get into the rest of the state. So.
And then when you have that permit, you can carry even in LA County.
Correct.
So, yeah, wow.
Correct.
So they disarm their entire population and just let you guys, I wonder if they realize.
Yeah, it's odd. I do caution people when I'm teaching, yes, your permit's valid in the entire state, but I caution people when you go to LA and get pulled over, you need to be careful because the sheriffs there and even the police departments, they don't issue them, so they're not really trained in how to respond to them. And I've heard of, I've met quite a few people who have had very negative experiences with sheriff encounters and being pulled over for speeding on the freeway, having a permit and, you know, everything that goes with it. And then the officer pulling them over has, oh, my gosh, you have a permit? You're not supposed to have that here. And, well, no, I can. It is legal. And you know, things that kind of go sideways for a little bit until their sergeant comes and says, okay, no, this is okay. They can have a gun. They're legally allowed to. But I have heard some horror stories about being just traffic violation, speeding tickets.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. But even in Southern California, there are a lot of gun owners. Orange County, Riverside, San Bernardino, San Diego. There are quite a few, even in Southern California. When you get to the Los Angeles suburbs and things, there are quite a few gun owners down there. So a lot of firearms instructors, a lot of classes happening. Even though they may not be able to do a CCW or have that, they're still out there training. Some of the best competition shooters come out of Southern California. So anyway, so yeah, it's one of those things that definitely you don't expect.
Right. Yeah. All right. And where can people find you online? What websites? What
my website is greenhornoutfitter.com. No S, it's just outfitter. Info at greenhornoutfitter.com is the email. And then my Instagram page is a lot of my competition stuff. Every now and then you'll get a cute cat picture because you just got to have fun sometimes. My Instagram is Moss Fun and Gun. So, and then on Facebook is Greenhorn Outfitter. So, yeah. So I am on social media and all kinds of stuff. So.
And I've been asking all of my guests if there are any books you recommend, either firearms, something liberty related that you recommend gun owners read.
Yes, I would recommend, and coming from the CCW instructor, not just, the goal isn't just to win a gunfight, but even making sure you're justified in the legal aspect of it. Andrew Bronca's The Law of Self-Defense, I think every concealed carry permit holder should read that and know the legalities and the potential of the legal cost of defending yourself. So that's a good one. Masad Ayyub's Deadly Force is another great one to read. Those would probably be my top two for protecting yourself in the aftermath of a shooting, too. So, let's see. Oh, I have to mention fun reading. We all want to escape reality and have some fun. I do recommend Monster Hunter International, a book by Larry Correa. He was an accountant, and he actually taught CCW in Utah. So he knows guns, so all of the descriptions of guns in his book are spot on. The characters are fun, and it's just it's definitely a B-movie fun read. So you guys want to, break away from the legalities and things like that, go have some fun and read Monster Hunter.
Thank you, Naomi. I thank you for being on the show. Any parting words for our listeners?
Parting words, I would say go shoot and have fun. Go get out and shoot your guns. So don't let them sit in the safe.
Okay. Well, I thank you very much, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to the Out of Order Gun Rights Podcast. Please head over to the show notes page, Out of Order James Kalita /Naomi, and we'll see you next time.